wanna do now is making it last. Mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, friends forever, strengthening the ties that keep us together. Mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, friends forever, strengthening the ties that keep us together.
This is Making It Last podcast, where it's all about how we help people to have better relationships, not just with ourselves, but with other people. And I'm your host, Noreen Daly, and it is my pleasure this time around to have this conversation with Basilia Barnaby Cuff and Robert David Shaw. Basilia Barnaby Cuff is a media practitioner, founder of Jamaica's only National Gospel Awards show, the Sterling Awards show, and of course, she will not allow me to not say that she's also a wife and a mother. Robert David Shaw is a producer. Now, what we'll be talking about is how can different interpretations of commitment impact relationships.
All right, I think I'll start. I think Basilia here. I think over time, the word commitment has evolved in a lot of people's minds in terms of what it really means to be committed in a relationship. I've heard conversations with individuals, friends and others, who see commitment in a relationship as putting one above the other. That's one interpretation. So I can be in a relationship with 4 people as long as. So you find that persons sometimes enter into relationships not being fully aware of what their partner's interpretation of commitment is. And then on the other side of the puzzle, or whatever you want to call it, because let me tell you, love can be like that. A huge puzzle trying to put it all together. You find that persons don't interpret infidelity the same way either. I have had conversations with people who say the only form of infidelity is some sort of sexual contact or sexual, intercourse. They don't think that kissing is infidelity. They don't feel that having an emotional attachment to somebody else is infidelity. Like, me think that worse. No, I think that is much worse than if you just slam bam one time and gone. I think it's much worse when you're attached emotionally to an individual, because you don't just snip and get rid of emotions like that.
Could it be that the word commitment has evolved?
Yeah,
especially in the past 10, 15 years, and it is now being compared with the traditional commitment versus the modern day or the millennial form of commitment.
And I think Hollywood has a lot to do with that. Hollywood and social media. I think we are being groomed to think it's okay to be committed, but not be committed. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that, and I agree with you when you mention Hollywood, because Hollywood is now taking over much easier than before.
Yes.
So the millennials now and the Gen Yers have full access to Hollywood via their cell phones, tablets,
everything,
and computers, and you find that the messages being portrayed on these platforms as it relates to commitment is one that speaks to, once you can identify the number one, then the 2, 3, 4 is fine.
It's fine as long as who is number one.
And that now becomes a problem when you look at morals, when you look at values.
Yeah.
And you associate those 2 tenets with the millennials. They think it's
fine.
It's an ordinary day.
And you know what I find too? A lot of times you find persons going into relationships not being aware of each other's interpretation of commitment, but then sometimes you find them going into the relationship fully aware and it's fully acceptable. It's like any other day. And I'm like, me, no, I'm very traditional. I don't care. Anybody want to call me millennial? Somebody called me a millennial yesterday. I'm like, I don't think I am. I'm not sure if I fall in that bracket, but I was watching an interview with 2 very popular persons in Hollywood. They're seen as goals, relationship goals. And they divulged that when it comes on to special occasions or when they feel like a second or third person is always included in the relationship, in the bedroom.
Okay,
And that's their norm. And a lot of persons were hitting out, the traditional persons were hitting out to say, then how can this be relationship goals? But then you have a whole host of others who are saying, but if they're fine with it, then it's okay.
We before you continue to it, we're talking a lot in terms of how there has been this evolving of the interpretation. What then are we saying that we're also okay with that? Because just like how other things have evolved and people now accept certain things, what are we saying? Do we think that is okay? If it's not okay, what then are we saying?
I think the men for the most part have a different interpretation of commitment from that of women.
Okay.
It is much easier for men to adapt to the Hollywood concept of commitment than it is for women to adapt. I think women are more traditional.
But here what it is, the men aren't going to have the relationship with themselves. So I understand what you're saying. So for you, you're saying men think that what?
It's okay to have identify the number one, but the 1, 2, 3, 4 is quite fine. Women wants to know that, listen, I'm number one. There ought not to be any number 2, 3, or 4.
Okay.
But women are strong on that.
Okay.
While you find that men are more lenient once they are able to identify that you're number one, so you're good. I come home to you, you're a wifey. But don't worry about them other girls. It's just a touch and go kind of thing. But you are number one.
Okay. Let's say some men and some women. Let's just make sure to put in the some men and the some women, because let me tell you, my husband is so he is as traditional as they get, and I am so thankful for that. Like, Brian don't entertain those kind of foolishness because first him knows same wife mad, so you know Basilia don't play those games, so even if he was harboring the thoughts, the day he said I do to Basilia, him no say, okay, you know what, hallelujah, the Lord gave me a good one, so let me just stick to it. So you know, and I think, David, though, I agree with you. It is easier for some men to, you know, adapt to that kind of lifestyle because there are a lot of perks in there for them,
Okay.
A lot of perks and, you know, being able to do all sorts of things, but come home to the one good wifey, and they're good.
I'm going to switch the conversation slightly because what has been said would be geared towards intimacy in terms of man-woman. What about friendships, even in terms of family relationships? Do you think anything of what you have said would apply to those types of relationships?
Yes, in a sense, yes. But I think when it comes to friendship, for example, when it comes to commitment to friendships, we find that a lot of people don't take time to understand each other. And it just, for example, this friend of mine, she had a relationship with 2 females, and they have been friends for about 10 to 12 years. And something came up where the one friend disagree with the friend for doing something, and the friendship broke off. And my question to one of the party was that, how committed were you guys
to the
as friends?
You
know, so I think a lot of people call the experience best friend or good friend or whatever.
Even reach to the point of sisters,
exactly,
brothers. Something happens.
One simple thing happened, and it severed the relationship for life. So my thing is, I don't think people really understand what true friendship is, and the
commitment is not there. I've had the experience with 4 people in particular where, you know, I am, for those who know me, know that I treasure friendships. And if I say that you're my friend, you're my friend. And no matter what I have to do sometimes, well, you know, no matter what I have to do, I try to ensure that if something is wrong, then I try to figure out what is wrong.
Same here.
And
same here.
I will try until my last breath to try and mend things. And I've had the experience with persons. We were friends for over 20 years. So, you know, Stefan, we're pitney. We grew up together and all of that. And something went wrong, but Basilia wasn't aware that something was going wrong and something went wrong. And Basilia spent months leading into over a year trying to figure out what
happened?
is wrong. All right, just tell me what is wrong. I apologize for what I did not know of, and that was okay because in my mind, I am trying to fix this friendship. So my level of commitment was totally different from theirs because they were fine with just saying, you know what, let's just go our separate ways, and that was it. And that hurt me to the core because in my mind, no, me committed to this. It's almost like a marriage. Me committed to this, so let us figure it out. Let's talk it out. And up to this day, it has been 5 years, but Celeste still doesn't know.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just have to know when to just let
That's
go.
I was about to say, but there comes a time when you tried, you just say, okay, I've done what I
think
can
figured
and let
it
it
out.
go.
How old is the marriage? Your marriage?
5 years.
Moving on. So we spoke. Okay.
You know, I heard that explanation once.
So we are going to move along.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe there's a connection.
Maybe.
So what about in terms of family though? Because we spoke about male female intimate. We spoke a little bit about friendship. What do you think of what all has been said just now? How you think that can impact on relationships within the family?
I think as Jamaicans on a whole, our commitment to family stands strong.
Okay.
For the most part.
Okay.
For the most part. Well, where I'm from. Yeah, for the most part. So no matter what your family member do, are your family. Okay. Yeah? Okay. But that has sort of evolved. You do that? All right, let me cut you off because listen, ain't nobody got time to be dealing with this in 2018. Okay. But then you still have some people who hold firm to the fact that we are blood.
Yes.
We can't change that. So whatever it is that you do, I'm just gonna have to figure out how to live with you.
Okay.
Or how to make this relationship work. But as I said, commitment has evolved, and you find that some persons are more committed to persons who are not their blood relatives simply because them treat them better.
Okay.
They have a better relationship.
But a lot is changing. And what you find is that probably 10, 15 years ago, the values that used to hold families together, I think they are disappearing. And you find that, which is why you find so many violence taking place within families. Two brothers killing each other over a dumpling that came in the news.
Yeah.
Two best friends killing each other because the guy didn't give him a ride off of his bicycle. I'm like, if we value family to the point where we see them as together for life, then we need to know how to treat that. And if we have that concept in our heads where you are my friend for life, my brother for life, my sister for life, it's a commitment.
Yeah.
And if you understand that commitment, then you will know how to treat each other within that relationship.
Yeah.
It's as we're wrapping up, because my final question to both of you is, if somebody is listening and they got nothing from what you said before, what is the one thing you'd want them to get from this conversation about how to better their relationships, specifically in regards to commitment?
I think for me, it goes back to the basics. And if we really go back to the Bible and what the Bible describes commitment as, and what the Bible describes love as, and what it entails, I think we can't go wrong. I think we have to stay away from the new definitions that are finding themselves into our life dictionaries. And we need to just find a way to stay focused and find a way to just stay on track. You know, a lot of times, especially I'm young, I'm not 30 yet, but I can tell you that I've been practicing the old time way of life, especially when it comes on to love. And that is something that I intend to pass on to my children, because I think if we go that route, then we're on the right track.
I think commitment can be amount to love in and of itself.
Yeah.
If we understand love, we understand commitment, and vice versa.
Hand in hand.
And I think people need to spend more time to understand what commitment means, because if we don't understand it, then we will not understand the relationship that we're trying to get in or that we're trying to be a part of. When we understand it, then we know how to live it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. This has been Making It Last podcast. I'm your host, Noreen Daly. I have nothing to add, just to say until next time.
You loving me, I loving you. Mothers and fathers, husbands making it last.